The main part of this week's Parsha, Parshas Nasso, as everyone knows, is the Karbanos of the Nisim, the elaborate, lavish korban that each Nasso of each Shevet brought to the Chanukas HaMishkan. And the Meforshim want to explain and to discuss why the Torah mentions each Shevet separately and the korban that they brought, even though it was exactly the same. And more or less, the Meforshim explain that it was to show that each Shevet and each Nasi had their own specific kavanas and their own individuality and their own personality and their own characteristics that their Shevet was representing, and that through their korban they were bringing to the Chanukas HaMishkan their special qualities that their Shevet possessed. It's interesting to note that although they brought such a lavish korban and such a beautiful korban as individuals, right before they bring the korbanos, the pasuk says that the different shvatim contributed 6 wagons that were brought in order to carry the different kelim of the Mishkan. They contributed 6 wagons to the Mishkan. In addition to the 6 wagons, they also contributed each shevet 1 ox, 1 shore that was going to be able to carry the wagons, because each wagon required 2 shores, 2 bakar, to carry each wagon. So each shevet contributed 1 shore and half of a wagon. The Shemoneh Tov asks, after each shevet was spent so much money on the korban and spent so much, the Torah goes out of its way to talk about how expensive and how beautiful each korban was, how come all of a sudden here, when it came to the wagons, they contributed 6 wagons, meaning each shevet only contributed half a wagon? Why didn't they contribute 12 wagons, each one give a full wagon? Why should they have to only give 6? And the Shemoneh Tov says that the individuality that was shown through each korban and each shevet is beautiful, and obviously every shevet has their own color and their own stripe and their own contributions that they bring to Am Yisrael. But it has to be on the backdrop and not to divide Am Yisrael, but to realize that we're part of a mechanism, we're part of a greater whole of all Am Yisrael. And in order to combat that idea, they contributed specifically, every 2 shvatim contributed a wagon, and every wagon is carried by 2 bakar, 2 ox, one from one shevet, one from another shevet, to show that even though obviously every shevet is special, but it's not special in order to divide off from Am Yisrael, but it's an aspect and it's a way for each shevet on the one hand to have their individuality, to have their special characteristics, to possess their special qualities that only they have, but at the same time to recognize that it's on a beautiful backdrop of an achdus of Am Yisrael, and that is shown by the fact that every 2 shvatim contributed a wagon together, and that every wagon is carried by 2 shnei bakar that will carry the wagon that is represented by 2 different shvatim. So important for us to remember. It's such a beautiful lesson that as each person in Am Yisrael and each shevet in Am Yisrael, everybody has their own special characteristics and their own special qualities and unique qualities that each person has and brings to the table and brings to Am Yisrael. But we have to recognize that it is part of our greater whole, our greater Am Yisrael, and that Mirz Hashem, that strength and that koach that we bring should be something that we bring as an individual, but to also recognize that it's part of a backdrop of Am Yisrael, and Mirz Hashem, the achdus that is created through that should be one that's very strong, especially during these times that we're in now. We need so much achdus together of Am Yisrael. Have a great Shabbos.